This says Norse Wrap Up, and there's not a lot really to wrap up, but the Norse mythos is the last mythos that we are going to take a look at, because next we're going to start talking about fairy tales and modern myth. Now, the Norse are obviously products of, or a product, I guess I should say, singular, of those mythoi that went before. And you were very apt in some of the things that you said on the discussion boards as far as, for example, the concept of fate goes. The Norse obviously get their concept of faith from those who preceded them, but they put their own spin on it. Now, I posed the question of whether, to some of the posts in the discussion board, whether or not Frigga was trying to circumvent fate when she asked all the creatures in the world not to harm her son Balder. And of course, she overlooked the mistletoe, and that brought about his destruction. And of course, this is similar to the myth of Achilles, when his mother Themis dipped him into the Styx River and held him by his heel. Achilles heel. Yeah. I was trying to say toe, but of course it wasn't toe. So these themes keep repeating and repeating and repeating. But there is one big difference about the Norse gods, in that they do seem to accept Ragnarok. They don't try to circumvent it. They don't try to change it. Now, of course, the Greeks did not have a concept of Armageddon in the same way that the Norse do. There was no destruction of the gods for them to try to circumvent or change. Their gods were immortal. And I guess the Greeks, not having, been a Greek in this lifetime, or, that lifetime that I can remember, the Greeks really thought their gods were going to go on and on and on forever. And they did have their Ragnarok. They had their Ragnarok with the destruction or the dying, and I shouldn't say the destruction of the Greek culture, because obviously Greeks still exist, but with the Greek religion. So their gods were not immortal in that sense, but they are immortal in the sense that there are modern pagans who do look to the Greek deities, and we are still reading about the Greek gods. But the Norse said, hey, what's going to be is going to be. We'll sit back and we'll just have a big party until that time. We'll set up in Asgard, and we will eat, and we will do whatever. When you look at Beowulf, that horrible movie that came about recently, don't pay any attention to it, because it does not accurately portray either Norse society or how it is they looked at the world. And going along, of course, with that fate is the concept of the fates, or the Norns. And I talked about this, and I don't want to belabor it, but obviously the Norns are adapted from the Greek fates. Why? Probably dissemination. Now, unless you buy into Jung's theory that those archetypes are embedded in our head, through dissemination. The Norse did get to Greece, and not only did they get to Greece, but they associated with other cultures who also had adapted and adopted the ideology of Greek mythology. So I think that is how that spread around. We are extremely lucky, and I don't believe in luck, fate, Lady Fortune, the goddess Fortunata, but I use that for semantical device. We are lucky to have these myths. And as I stated before, these myths were recorded largely by Christians, but hey, we still have them. Now, we're not going to get into Celtic myth, but Celtic myth is the same way. Most of the Celtic myths we have were recorded by Christian scribes, and some say those Christian scribes are actually pagans pretending to be Christian. We don't know. We can't prove that. But at least we have those myths. And I do encourage you to look at Celtic myth, and in Celtic myth you will see the same types of archetypes. You will see, the continuation of the triple goddess in Bridget, known to the Romans as Brigantia. You will see the Morrigan, the three goddess triad. Well, that's redundant. The goddess triad, who incorporates aspects of Hecate and aspects of other goddesses. So I, certainly encourage you to continue exploration of other mythoi, and make it a lifelong study, because knowing myth will allow you and enable you to know much more about religion, and why you believe what you believe, and why other people believe what it is they believe. I guess that's kind of my wrap up of Norse. Um, yeah, I got kind of confused because last semester I had my Norse stretched out over 2 weeks, but that was because I presented Norse during Thanksgiving, and so I had to continue over into the next week. We're going to do fairy tales now, and I hope that you enjoy fairy tales, because I enjoy fairy tales, and I hope that we can draw a direct link between those ancient myth and ancient fairy tales, and modern myth and modern fairy tales. So that kind of concludes the mythic part of this class, but it certainly does not conclude the mythic aspects that you can search out for yourself.